So for today's webinar, we are going to talk all about community. What is a community? Well, community can be a group of people working together. So I would say that community is perhaps one of the biggest virtues in the future for anyone, whether you have autism or not. I do believe that community is very important when it comes to autism because for autism it's sometimes it's categorized as someone who prefers to be alone. Autism because autism itself is a Greek word which aut means auto, which means self. So selfism. That's what autism basically is. And when you have a community that's helping you, it can really challenge the whole concept of being by yourself. The whole selfism kind of thing. So, but still, community is definitely one of the biggest virtues in the future of anyone, especially for someone with autism. And community comes in many great forms. You can start with family. You can a community of family that counts as a community. There's a community of friends. Friendship. There are people in your age group. There's a community of teachers that can help you along the way. And there's also the local community. And we'll get to those in a little bit. So different forms of community. So with family, it can be a community because whether you have a family of 2 or a family of 10, a family of 50, they all come together as a community, and they can help one person at a time when it comes to their family. And I would say that family is one of the is perhaps a really big importance because you start off with family and then you'll get to other people as soon as you master how to be in community with your family. So that's one thing. They're always there with you. They love you, and no matter what, they know what's best, and they can really do help you when it comes to this community. So teachers is a really big importance because here's a little bit of scenario. So when I was during school, especially in preschool, I had to do developmental preschool just because I was diagnosed with autism. I wasn't told that I had autism until I was a teenager, but I was diagnosed at a very young age, and I was put into a little developmental preschool place where you get to, in a way, sort of kind of repeat the preschool a little bit, just so you can get along with other people and get to know what's going on developmentally. I would say here that they are second to family. I think they have been the most helpful because they knew how to teach others or teach students, whether they have autism or not, in a way almost kind of like the same way as if someone with or without autism. But the only main difference is that with the autism, they know that they need extra help. They know that they'll need some time to process about what's going on. The teachers they just will do what's best for the students while learning the basic necessities of academics. It's that whole dedication, determination to ensure a bright future for the person that they are caring for, and for the person that they are teaching. So with that, let's move on to another community that is very helpful. I would say that friendship counts as a community. So what are friendship? Well, sometimes friendships can involve. They can go from families and teachers and doctors or even therapists as well. They can still be considered as your friend as well. But for this case, I would say that friendship, when it comes to your peer group, is what I'm going for. Friendship was definitely one of the hardest communities I had to be around. Growing up during school and all that good stuff. Why was it so hard? Well, for one thing, I was just so used to being with the teachers. So used to being with the grown-ups, the people who are always taller than me and kind of yeah, they're taller than me, and usually are grown adults. And with kids, for me, it was just a little bit, harder because they speak differently. They listen to things a little differently too. They act differently too. Very, very childish as well. Even back then, it's funny because back then I tried to act like a grown up, even though I was like 6 or 8 years old and such. But even my family just encouraged me, saying, you're a kid. You're supposed to act like a kid as well. At the same time, I learned quite a lot from them. How did I learn from these kids? Well, for starters, I learned how to have fun with other people. Another thing as well is learn how to have something in common with one another, especially in your peer group. Like, for example, what's your favorite cartoon or cartoon character? The last community I wanted to mention is the local communities. I live in Bainbridge Island for the past 20 years, and I'm so used to this island of Bainbridge. It's right next to Seattle. It's kind of a small town area. So local communities such as the bookstore. I like to go to the bookstore. I like to read some books that over there. There's some fun and some funny stuff to read about. And I would just hang out in there. And I know a lot of people over at the bookstore area. The clerks and the ones who work at the bookstore, this local bookstore called the Eagle Harbor Books, and I was so into their bookstore that I even have a job as a maintenance worker at the bookstore. Another part of the local community I would like to mention is the police. And now, why the police? Well, interesting story, by the way, is the first time I was ever pulled over by the police was on my bicycle. The reason why? I went down this hill super fast and then passed a stop sign without even stopping. And then there's a police right over there, and showed us blinking lights, and so I pulled over. And because of that, I would say that I have grown quite a good, interesting little connection with police as well. Because for one thing, I used to whenever there's like a problem going on, when someone accidentally hit me with their car, I would file a report and go to the police station. They would know me quite a bit, and know what's going on. If I need help with anything, and and I do feel a lot very comfortable when it comes to interacting with the police station and the people that work for the local police. Another local community I would like to say is the grocery store, probably 7 blocks away from my house. And cool thing about it is that the grocery store we could go to, they hire anyone that are looking for like a full-time or part-time job over there. Another thing for the local community is sometimes the library. Sometimes I go to the library every so often just to check out some books. I go to the bookstore most of the time, but the library is always kind of neat. There's always that unique charm to the library with so many books and some CDs. The audiobooks that they have as well. You can rent a bunch of these books as well in the library. And one other thing is also the diner. Why the diner? Because again, the people that used to go to school with also work at the diner, whether it's the chef or the waitress, and always so nice, so good and friendly. And the one last part I would like to mention of the local community is the candy store. Not only that I could go in there, but for a long time I have known the owner of Bon Bon for since we kind of just first moved into here in the island. And I won't mention any names, but when I was when I was 2, and then go from that to 5 and 6, I'm used to I was introduced to her and her son, who I used to go to school with. We're about the same age, and she's really sweet. She's such a as sweet as a candy that she sells. She's always very nice, and her son. He's also really cool person too. Very nice. He even worked at the candy store for a while before he gets his job as a police officer. Because I was so used to as much people as I know in the area, in the community, I'm also able to process daily the routine, daily information that has been provided. What to expect, what is going on for the environment, and from the people that are in that environment, in the community. And the community, when there's a lot of people like that, it can really do some amazing, beautiful things. Every time, I'm always thankful and grateful for that. I have been around with a lot of people thanks to my parents, and because for one thing, like I mentioned before, they've always been around with me, no matter what happens, whether I'm going with the upsides and the downsides. As much as I don't want to be social with around to others, they knew how to encourage or how to push me forward into new challenges, and they do it to every so often, as well as understanding when I need breaks or when I need some time for my space. They know that, but at the same time, they know that I do need the ability to be around others in a community. And I would say that the community when it comes to sports it's just fantastic. It's just a very great way to be a part of something, a part of a community, and you would get to learn whatever it is you want to learn when it comes to being social, teamwork, acceptance. I soon began to really like in the community of choice, especially when it's in the local communities. Most of these communities I'm in are local because, for one thing, they're just right to there. They're in the islands, and you can go to them any time. And people would know you and understand you, and you'll know that you'll do great in whatever community you are in, and just boosts the major possibility of different friendships whenever you're in the community, whether it's in an art club or a chess team or simply in school. It's not the quantity of people that are in this community. It's the quality of the spirits, the quality of the performance, and the quality of the results afterwards. Whether it's helping or entertaining or just educating one another, and, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, what kind of how many people there are in this community. As long as you do what you do, as long as you enjoy what you do, you gotta have the joy, the benefits of it. Any kind of community can be a very helpful, very moving and motivating to those wanting to socialize. And with that, I highly encourage just try different communities. What do you enjoy? What do you like out that matters to you, and find a community that works out. So with that, I would like to conclude this webinar, saying thank you very much for coming to this webinar.